Well, hello, everybody. This is Dr. Paul Feuerstein, editor-in-chief of Dentistry Today. And today we have something really interesting. I'm going to be introducing a company to you called GuruNanda and show you how they're shaking up the entire oral hygiene world. With us today is Nanda, who is the CEO, but he actually is not called the chief. Called the Chief Essential Oil Officer, apparently. And we have Krysta Ambruson, who's a dental hygienist, and we just discovered that she's practicing right near where I am right now. We could probably have done this in person, not too far away in Massachusetts. And she's in a practice that does cutting edge wellness-based practicing, and they use natural therapies in conjunction with traditional dentistry. So just quickly, I'll give a brief overview of what I've learned is Puneet started a company many years ago called Dr. Fresh, and people called him Dr. Fresh. And a toothbrush company, he went right up against the big guys and killed it. He actually killed it. It was unbelievably successful. He has great vision. He's also involved in something else right now we'll talk about that's taking some of the Eastern Indian alternative medicine, merging with Western medicine. And he's been studying, and they both have been studying the somewhat controversial oil pulling. We're going to talk a lot about that today. One of the things I found out about you, Puneet, is that there's a big sign in your factory that says, if I don't touch the soil, I don't buy the oil. And we'll
Correct.
talk about that in a second. So why don't we just go ahead and talk a little bit about your journey? We don't have a lot of time, so give us the short version of the long journey. And hang on a second, I just have to clear my teeth with my brand new GuruNanda fantastic toothbrush, which we'll talk about too.
It's also called butter on gums, this
But
toothbrush.
and it
And
feels
there's
like
a story behind that too.
go right ahead.
Okay, so just to give you a quick overview, I grew up in a family manufacturing toothbrushes for major brands and major companies. And I knew this business, but when I came to the United States, I started Dr. Fresh company. I wanted to do my own brand, and Reach and Banaka and Firefly were some of my brands. I ended up selling that company and learning Ayurveda. And when I assimilated the ancient Indian science of Ayurveda with the Western science that is clinically researched, I created a product that was very focused on the American audience, and we created the oil pulling product. And Guru Nanda was actually the name of my yoga studio, which I had started after selling my first company. But it became the name of my brand as well going forward. And that is what it is today.
Can I
And the
just inter
whole idea erupted because I wanted to bridge the gap between the East and the West, the Eastern science and the Western science. Number two, bridge the gap between the served and the underserved. Underserved being people who are aspirational but don't have all that money or luxury to go and do whatever they want. So I wanted to create a product line that actually is focused on bringing the highest quality of product to the people who deserve it the most but don't have the resources to take it. So this
can I
is what it
yeah, can I
is.
just interject that in between all this, you opened up a yoga studio and a wellness studio too. Thus the guru Nanda, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Um, you were talking about if I don't touch the soil, I don't buy the oil.
Correct.
So, very quickly touching on that subject, I took 2 years going across the six continents and actually going farm to farm and establishing a repo with the honest, ethical farmers and created a system where I could actually buy the oil from that particular country of origin to get the highest value of that oil. For example, if you're a wine drinker and if you like red wine, you want the red wine to be either a Napa Valley wine or from Bordeaux, France. Let's say if I grew the grapes in downtown Boston, where you guys are, it wouldn't taste the same. So same way, each essential oil has its country of origin. For example, lavender, you have to buy it from a specific area in Bulgaria called Kazanlak, or you have to buy a peppermint from a specific area in India or Yakima Valley in US. Like it has to be specific to get the best therapeutic, the best value out of the product to where it actually acts the best. And that is exactly what I did. And the reason I did it also was because the number one online website was selling a lot of chemicals and calling them essential oils.
Yeah.
And it really hurt me. And I wanted to create something that nobody has done before. There are a couple of multi-level marketing companies like doTERRA and Young Living that do it, but they wanted to charge like 10x the revenue cost. And I wanted to democratize the oral care for people who need it the most. So this is the advent of GuruNanda.
And the oils, when you go to a supermarket or some store and it says this is essential oils, when you read the label, it's actually not the essential oils. It says something like vapors from the essential oils or some crazy thing like that. They're not pure essential oils. You're not getting what
So
you're paying for.
a lot of the product online on the number one website store, they're calling it, first of all, they're calling it organic. Organic is a joke. There is out of organic oils that sell on the number one A website, which you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, and just in one day, that amount is not even produced in the whole year in the world. That's how much sale is done in one day of organic. So organic is a joke. And whenever essential oils evaporate through a steam distillation process, most of the fertilizers, they don't even reach the distilled part of it. So a lot of organic is a joke. Uh, Number two, the essential oils, since they are not regulated by FDA, most of the essential oils being sold by every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the A website is a joke. They are not essential oils. And that is what made me really get upset because they are very powerful. They are plants. Our body, actually, when you use, did you know that most of the peppermint oil being used in your toothpaste that you're using probably synthetically made? Or menthol that you're using in a toothpaste is synthetically made from petrochemicals or from companies like Bayer or all these big companies. So, or NHU in China means these are the, so literally your body's hungry. You wake up in the morning, you start brushing, and now you've got a synthetically derived product in your mouth, and your mouth is vascular. You end up absorbing a lot of that junk in your body early morning, and that's what you get. And they don't have the obligation to write peppermint oil derived from farm. All they have to write is peppermint oil, and that could just smell like peppermint or menthol, but it could be made from petrochemicals. Number one. Number two, a lot of the product that people are using nowadays has color, has oral care products have color. And all these colors, although they are FD&C, they have not been studied, used 30 years or 40 years. And then people get stuck with a diagnosis at 60 years of age, and little things matter. And then they all of a sudden say, why me? They're angry, they're upset. Why me? And this is why you, because you got to be the guru of your own wellness. You got to be learned enough to learn. Government is not going to help you. You got to be the guru of your own wellness. And that is what the Guru Nanda is all about. To make you, help you be the guru of your own wellness.
So let me switch to Krista for a second. So we're talking about the technical parts of the oil. So tell us about oil pulling a little bit and what your product is doing and with the name of the product and how it's used by the patients and what your hygienist, what your clinical results are. I mean, this is very important.
So the oil pulling, first of all, I didn't know much about it prior to coming into talking with Guru Nanda and talking with Dr. Fresh. I mean, I knew about it, but I kind of was like, yeah, my patients that do it have great results, but like I don't know much about it because it's not something we commonly talk about in the dental world. Natural therapies are still sort of, even though they're 3,000 years old, they're still sort of something that we don't talk as much about. So oil pulling, what I love about this particular addition to what we do for brushing and flossing is I love that it's an adjunct to something that you can do every single day that has therapeutic oils that help hydrate the tissues. It helps really help with sensitivity. It helps with really getting rid of the bacteria in the mouth and rebalancing, which is so important because a lot of the times we go for something like I call alcohol-based mouthwash the hand sanitizer of our mouth. And I find that it ends up killing off the good, the bad. And what we know now is that we really need a balance in our oral microbiome. And what I love about the oil pulling is it's a really simple way, a simple adjunct and a natural adjunct that people can do every single day, along with brushing, along with flossing, along with water flossing. There's a whole guru regimen that we talk about all the time, but it just gives that extra clean feeling too. But when it comes to what oil pulling does, I really love it because there's science behind it. So our bacteria have a lipid layer that when you swish around with oils attract each other. So the oils will stick to the oils and it's helping really soften up that plaque. So when you do the rest of your routine, it's easier to remove. There's also a ton of ingredients in there, such as clove, which we've used in dentistry forever, tea tree, which has effects against strep mutans. You can look it up anywhere online. It also has oregano, which has amazing antimicrobial benefits, along with, oh man, fennel to help with salivary production. I could go on and on. And then there's also vitamin D3 and vitamin K2, which if you've ever read the book, The Dental Diet by Dr. Stephen Lin, vitamin K2 is actually a vitamin that we don't talk about a lot, but could be super beneficial in the dental industry because it helps facilitate calcium and bringing it from the saliva to the bones where it needs to go. So I get really excited about it because it has all these things and you only have to swish around with it for 2 minutes to start your routine. You can work your way up to 10. And the people that are doing it are loving it and they're feeling really good and feeling fresh and actually taking oral health into their own hands, which I think that's as a dental professional, what we've always wanted for a really long time.
Well, in the published studies that you have, you actually show some very nice whitening effects, and you also show breath effects. I mean, there was one of the studies showed that patients were coming out saying, "My breath there's no more smell, there's no more lousy taste." I mean, there's all these anecdotal I mean, I shouldn't say anecdotal. There's these ideas that are coming out, so it's a multi-beneficial thing. But what I've been seeing also, and again, there's a lot of clinical studies still running around. But when you have a patient that came in for SRP or something like that, and they come back and they've been using this system, the tissue looks pink. It's not bleeding.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And as it's like every hygienist's dream to have patients, I always say, like, the more you do at home, the less we have to do here. And I've just seen this trend because of the fact that this product, it trended on social media and it's really allowing people to start to look at oral health and actually take control of it and take charge of it. And as Dr. Fresh says, be the guru of their own health, because I think for the longest time that, everyone thought it was just brushing and flossing. And I think we were doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And now people are starting to try new things. They're starting to invest in water flossing or invest in electric brushes just because this one product is almost being a gateway for people to take care of their mouths.
Yeah, and speaking of social media, you are killing it in social media. You personally and the
Yeah.
company too. I mean, I'm really looking at millions of views in the TikTok and things like that. And you're
Yeah.
putting things that people are coming back with the same studies. Um, and I shouldn't say studies, just saying I use it, it's great. And you've made quite the buzz, I have to say. It's been once my eyes were open to GuruNanda, and wow, and it was just all over the place, Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn, you name it, it's out there. So, and you're doing a great job, I have to say. And it's not a bunch of BS. These are people saying, I'm using this, it's working, I feel better, my dental visits are better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't say enough about that. And also, you mentioned water flossing. You actually have your own water flosser too, don't you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. It's my favorite water flosser that I've ever used. So
I'm not usually, I don't usually say things like this, but it's really economical, isn't it? Compared to what's out in the marketplace. So in my hands, I have this wonderful toothbrush called Butter on Gums. And I'll leave it to either one of you to talk about that, about why I like this so much.
I'll leave that to you, Dr. Fresh. I know you're so passionate about it. So
So, Paul, thank you. Paul, first of all, the butter on gums, how it got invented was because one of my close family members had to go through chemo and through cancer. And the one of the things that I saw being in dental business is that the gums get really inflamed and they bleed and it's a mess. And it is a unending cycle because the chemo patient, they're already very irritated, they're very upset, they are very depressed. And now to brush your teeth and you bleed and your gums are hurting becomes a very daunting, challenging task. So they avoid brushing. So the number two thing was I tried Sonic, doesn't work because the buzz, the whole thing, they get upset about it. So I said, okay, what can I do to create a brush that still would have the same effectiveness as a 8 mil or a 9 mil or a 10 mil toothbrush? When I say mil means that this is the demarcation of soft, medium, hard in DuPont terms. And because most of the people use DuPont Tinex bristles, and those bristles, 8 means you're using a soft bristle, 9 means medium, and 10 means hard. And normally most people like 8, but that's still hard enough to where people with chemo-ish patients, they don't like it. So the challenge was, how do we get the same amount of clean so that it doesn't feel like after brushing that you've not cleaned yourself? That's the number one thing. If it is too soft, they feel that. So we actually overcame that by two ways. Number one, we created a bristle, a quality of bristle that is very, very unique, that will have very effective cleaning, much more than normal. And then secondly, we created it to be so soft that it is literally like butter on your gums. Thirdly, to counter that, we actually put 8 to 10 times the amount of bristles that you put in a normal hole so that you get extra clean and you get the entire mouth, entire gum area covered without you literally feeling like brushing. You feel like clouds on your teeth. And when I literally made the toothbrush and prototype and gave it to the family member, and she was ecstatic, and she said, "Oh my God, where was it like a month ago?" And that is when we made several prototypes. I gave one of them to one of my friends, Dr. Miles Madison. He's also called Gum Father, and a few other. He is a very known specialist for gingivitis, and he said, "Oh my God, I gave it to my implant patients, and I gave it to some of my severe gingivitis patients, and they are like, oh my God, product." And that is so we originally named it something else, but I always used to say it feels like butter on gums. It feels like to everybody in my family. So one day we decided, you know what, we're just going to change the name of the brush to butter on gums. And that is the advent of butter on gums. And it's now become a TikTok sensation. We give it with oil pulling product because when you oil pull, your entire gums, your enamel, those biofilms are very loosened up. So when you use the butter on gums, without hurting your gums, you're actually still mechanically removing those biofilms, and you're making sure that the streptococcus mutants and all those bad bacteria that would cause cavities don't have a hiding space left, and you're getting the perfect clean. That is why you see so much better result in morning breath, in otherwise general oral hygiene so quickly within one bottle usage. Everybody is so much affected that it becomes a word of mouth thing. Everything that you see on TikTok and Instagram, whatever, it's all people saying it from their heart. We don't pay them. These are all customers. So that is exactly what has happened. It's become a word of mouth thing.
Well, in your next generation, you can call it silk on gums. That's what I feel like. Silk on gums. I want to just touch on something else that you've been doing personally and company-wise. Is this is a very philanthropic company too? Because there was a study I saw, something I don't remember the exact story, but there was something going that you did in Haiti. Could you just reiterate that? It was very impressive.
So, not just Haiti, we also have support our orphanage in India. So we have a couple of other smaller projects as well. So my whole idea was, if I'm going to buy the oils from these farming communities, I want to go help these farming communities and make sure that these kids get educated. So part of the oil buying that we do, we keep a part of that, and we try to either support the school in that area. In this area, in this specific case, it was literally building it up. But in India, we have an orphanage that we support. So we have 80 kids in that orphanage. And then we have several other smaller projects where we support a lunch or we support something so that, or books. So we have made it a plan that every year, a part of the proceeds that we will make will probably go into these philanthropic activities that would support the real people who are actually growing plants, people who are on dirt, being dirt with dirt, being on the farms, people who are the most underserved. So in bringing the message, not just here, we want to bring the message all the way, not just serving the customer in America, we also want to serve the farmers that are not being taken care of. So that is the whole process that we followed.
This is just an eye opener. I hope to everybody of what's going on here, that you've captured the interest of everybody, and you have the science behind it, and you have the wherewithal, and between the two of you and the rest of the company, I mean, this has just been great. When people want more information, what is the actual website that they can go to?
So the actual website is GuruNanda.com,
What was that?
GuruNanda.com. Because of our popularity, there's been a lot of dupes. There's been a lot of Chinese manufactured product who copy our packaging, who copy our looks, and who have literally calling it God teeth, Guru teeth. So you have to be very careful so that you don't get duped. And you have to buy the GuruNanda.com product from either our website, or even if you go to Amazon, you have to make sure you buy, the shipper is GuruNanda, because these dupes, they go and hijack the listings on Amazon. So best thing is to buy it at a CVS or buy it at a Walmart retail store. That is probably the best if you can do that.
If I had another 2 hours, you could tell me about all the other products, your flossing products, your children's products. I mean, so people should just take a look at the website and see the massive amount of information that's out there, and helpful information. And for our patients, we have started to dispense these in my own office right now. And it's the response has been crazy, just crazy.
Thank you. Paul, we also have a page called GuruNanda Official on TikTok with a blue tick. And that page is managed by not just regular good people in the company, but also hygienists who are actually educating it once a day to the people on oil pulling and answering every question. And we have very, very smart, extremely amazing people like Krysta who are on the road, always educating people on TikTok about our product. So there's a lot of hygienists. We're also going to every dental show in the major one. Krysta is always mostly there, and we've got a bunch of hygienists who've been trained on oil pulling, who are actually imparting the knowledge to the dentists and the hygienist community as well.
So I'd love to go beyond this. I think we're already beyond, but I think this is okay, because it just, to me, it was just an eye opener when I first met you in one of the dental meetings myself. I just sat there and went, "What? Really?" And then you said, "We'll prove it," and you sent me more than I could read, pages and pages of information. So this is the real deal, and you're the real deal. And Krysta, you've just been unbelievable. So I want to thank you for spending some time with me. And we'll probably should do some follow-up on this too. I think it'll be very interesting to see people's reaction. And we'll just go from there. So thank you very, very much for spending the time with me. And Krysta, I'll probably see you at some supermarket somewhere.
Yes, I'll see you somewhere in the Boston area. So
Thank you, Krysta. Thank you,
thank
Paul.
you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
time today.